Let's do it.
Okay, it says it's probably not lying. So, hi, Jove. Happy New
Hi,
Year.
Michelle. Happy New Year to you too. Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, this is fun. I'm glad you got to come on, and like it's a fun day to come on. The I like the new year. I like the change of the calendar. I like the change of that number.
It's nice to
So,
start things fresh.
hey, Jet Petty. Hey, Jilly Beans. Yeah, everybody filing in here. Genocide. Yay. So I've got some buddies, hopefully, that like to show up over here when we have a chill little chat on the holidays about tarot cards. So hey, everybody, meet my friend. So meet my friend Joe Spooky, who is an astrologer and a witch. It's always technical difficulties with streaming. So I don't know what you are. Maybe you can still see me on the screen. I don't know. So you know how it is, y'all. You know how it is. So this is Joe Spooky. This is my astrologer officially because Joe did a reading for me recently. And you can get one too. Yeah, it was so good. It was so good. I have to say, I've had some, yeah, fun astrology. Julie does some astrology. Julie sent me some good insights also in the past, and I was telling her about my reading from you. Also, Joe, I was like, it was the most like spot on like full like natal chart reading ever. So, anyway, thanks for that.
Yeah, you have a beautiful, beautiful chart. It was so fun to read with you and talk about tarot in there a little bit too. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, hopefully our technical issues will straighten out a little bit. It's just like I feel like they get worse and worse with time as time goes by. I feel like they get worse and worse. With the services that we have. Yeah, sign
Yeah.
you up for some astrology stuff, Julie. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Julie, I was telling Julie about you, Joe. Hey, Lan. Hi. Yay, New Year. I'm glad to see you all here. This is so fun. I do. I love to see the calendar years shift, especially into the number 23. That seems like I don't know. That seems like good luck. I think. What you got? You think, Joe?
I think so. I think so. Feels like a good year. Feels like astrologically too. Uh, only up to go from 2021, 2022. We've got some really big changes coming that I think will be some relief.
Yeah, cool. Well, tell us about it. What's up? Just go ahead. Tell us about it.
Yeah, for sure. So I think kind of the beginning of 2023 will have a lot of the same themes as 2022. We've really seen um, with Saturn in Aquarius, which it'll be till March of next year, um, kind of these big scale changes in technology and ideology. And I really kind of like this phrase of the reign of the ideologues and the cults that sort of follow them. We've seen, this transition from an Earth period of Saturn and
Ooh,
Jupiter
wait.
into an air period. And so all of the sort of materiality and stability that we've seen with Earth has sort of given way to all this change in Aquarius and air signs. And I think we've really sort of seen the splintering of quote unquote consensus reality. Um, and with that, um, all these factions of ideas that are very specific, of these little sections on the internet where people have really built their whole world around sometimes conspiracy theories or religions or even the politics of a party or whatnot. So I think we'll see some more of that.
So you think
But
you think we'll see like more like cult building, like deepening of cultic beliefs? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Pluto is also moving into Aquarius. Briefly in March of this year, March to June, and then again in 2024. And Pluto is kind of the intensifier of wherever it is. It's like putting the gas pedal down and it's stuck on the floor. And so I think we're going to see that. A little taste of it in March of really really intense.
Really?
Yeah, ideologies. I think we'll see just people holding these so
intense and like that we could use like to like make whatever we want with it.
I think so. I mean, I think historically too, this Pluto energy. I think French Revolution is when it last came up. So I think there's some revolutionary energy as well. And so I think there's just, Aquarius is also about thinking about the collective and social change and altruism to some degree. So I think, within this kind of sea and mess of ideologies, there's definitely energy to start thinking about how to really change things. And Pluto there, Pluto's about power. And so, if we're able to think about power in the sign of the collective, I think there's a much better chance for us to bring some things to pass.
Okay. I'm like missing a lot because we're having a lot of technical difficulties. I don't know if everybody else is missing what you're saying or not, but unfortunately, like I am, and I'm very frustrated by it. So some of these energies, like intense energies that are coming up in March, are something that we can kind of like we can use in ways that we're all going to dig our heels in. Was kind of the last thing I heard.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of energy.
Julie heard you, so everybody else heard you.
Awesome. I think there's a lot of energy on offer for change. I think as well. Saturn has been in Saturn ruled signs in Capricorn and Aquarius for a while now, and will finally be shifting into Pisces in March. And Saturn in Capricorn and Aquarius is all about power and structure, and I think can be very authoritarian. And moving into Pisces, we get this watery softness and sweetness even. And so I think that'll be maybe a lessening of some of the hard edges of Saturn, but also thinking about what's sort of come up in that time before in 64 to I think we lost Michelle there. But in 1964 to 67, and then again in 1993 to 1996, we had this Saturn in Pisces period where there's some really great art, some revolutionary ideas, big changes in fashion and aesthetics, and some really beautiful world building. I think the creativity of Pisces with Saturn, who's kind of like the backbone and structure of the world, there's going to be a lot on offer to do a lot of creative work, a lot of building, a lot of how do we use structures in ways that are beautiful and connective. And
I love this.
Maybe there's also going to be a much bigger focus on spirituality and mysticism. And kind of this move from individual to more thinking about the group and how we can all relate and kind of swim in it together.
Okay, I think I keep freezing is what I get from this, but coming through fine. So, but it's hard for me. Like I can't hear a lot of what you're saying, so it's kind of. Sorry, it's hard for me to interact, obviously. But I know what you're saying is good.
Yeah.
I've had this. I've had this reading from your report. This is so funny. It's like this blind conversation. I'm like, but I know it's good. Philip says here. Let me pull this up.
Last 500.
What were the other years? Yeah.
Let's see. I
Yes.
didn't go quite that far back, but in and out between 1964 and 1967, and then 1993 and 1996. Andre Barbeau is a great astrologer who looks at mundane astrology and does a lot of comparisons between sort of the different generations and ages and how these planets work, if you want to dive into that more.
(1993) is pretty far back if you ask me. I'm going to pull up your document that you sent me. And I'm going to look at this document. Which is such a good idea. We pulled the Queen of Pentacles for our New Year's card. What do you oh, here we go. And you wrote some cool things about it. What do you think about the Queen of Pentacles for New Year? I thought that was a really good card for this year, but what you're saying, it sounds like it's also like a tumultuous year. Sounds like it's going to be like stubborn and difficult and high energy. But only.
I mean, I think where we are in world events right now, regardless of where the planets are, there's a lot of tension, right? We're experiencing crises in terms of climate and society in ways that are unprecedented for sure, at a scale that's unprecedented. It's moving faster with communication forms like the internet, and we're this age of air where things are less stable. There's a lot of change. Once again, this world of thoughts and ideas, more so than the material, is something that I think we're all figuring out how to move into. And with any change, there'll be some tension there. But that's why I'm really glad that this Queen of Pentacles came up. I feel like that's a really beautiful, sort of earthy card for the start of the year. And as I was talking a little bit about Saturn and the changes in Saturn that we're seeing, I kind of interpreted this as we've put in the time of learning those Saturn lessons. The Queen of Pentacles is ruled by or is corresponds with the sign of Capricorn, who's ruled by Saturn. And so I think this is a nice culmination of all those lessons that we've learned, and maybe being able to reap some of them and feel well resourced, and feel sort of a groundedness in the lessons that we've learned about how to take better care of ourselves materially, and hopefully take the opportunities of the seeds that we've sown over the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah. I love that. That was perfectly said. And I heard all of it this time, which is awesome. Yeah, when I saw Queen of Pentacles, I was really happy to see her, show up right now. I guess I'm freezing the whole time. Oh, thank you, Lena. I guess I'm freezing up the whole time, huh?
I think you're coming in now.
Okay. All right. Cool. I was super happy to see the Queen of Pentacles because I feel like we have like kind of these really frustrating waiting periods to go through right now. So like it's been coming up in everybody's cards have kind of had this same kind of thing right now. It's like we have to have this patience that don't really have. All the pieces have to kind of hit the floor first. None of us should really be making any like big decisions or furtive movements right now, right? But at the same time, like it's not relaxing, it's frustrating, So I was glad when I saw the Queen of Pentacles because I was like, I was like, that's what we need. We like feel grounded and have something to like do that feels productive while we kind of just sit with just the frustrated feelings we're going. So I hope some of that group.
Yeah. And thinking about that waiting period and some of those frustrations is so aligns with Saturn. My understanding of Saturn of just sometimes you just gotta wait. Sometimes you have to go without. Sometimes it's just sort of the drudgery of time, and putting in the hard work to get through it.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Um, let's see. What other astrology do we have going on? When I'm moving out, actually, hopefully.
Yeah. So I think once again with Saturn entering Pisces, we're seeing the end of this waning square of the Saturn Uranus cycle. We've really felt those squares of Saturn and Uranus over the last couple years, 21 and 2022. I think of sort of the Saturn Uranus, the bad dad, the father who's all about structure and all of this, and the rebellious son who wants to topple the father, and squaring is a hard aspect in astrology, such that you think of kind of like a T-bone in a car accident, where the way those energies are meeting is very intense, very confrontational, and potentially very destructive. And so we're seeing, questions of Uranus, who is always shaking things up against the more authoritarian Saturn. Um, and so that square, I think, has also given us a lot of the more extremist views that we've seen, all over the internet. And so with Uranus no longer blocked by this square, I think Uranus is going to continue to shake things up, maybe in a bigger way, even. Um, and with this though, there's also I think going to be just further upsets to the systems that we see. We've seen supply chain issues and things like that.
Okay.
Um, but one interesting thing about Saturn in Pisces. Go ahead.
Oh, hopefully I'm in sync. But you were saying something about the authoritarian, more authoritarian, and like recently my own, tarot cards evolve in your readings, right? Like your relationships with different tarot cards evolve over time. And I
Right.
use this very positive um side of the emperor, and more of like I've always had a really positive view of the emperor. None of the cards are distinctly negative, but a lot of people have negative viewpoints on the emperor, and I'd always had pretty positive ones. So more recently, like in his readings and just the way he's presenting in my own life, he's been coming up the much more harsh side of him, the side that's arbitrary. He makes arbitrary decisions, arbitrary controls, like that kind of thing. Like his harsh authoritarian side has really been showing lately. So if the emperor is getting defensive and he's getting clashy, right, he's definitely going to be more authoritarian. He's gonna lock down. Yeah, so that's interesting in what you're saying too, and especially like because then it brings me back to like what you said about like the culty, like building wall. Everybody's getting more deep into their belief systems, but like if their belief systems are being shaken, like that just makes all of us a little bit like meaner, too. Like we don't like that like instability or that insecurity. So like these things are I'm feeling a lot of these things that you're saying also in my own like work and my own dreams and all of these things.
I'm really curious to see too, in March, if we see some of those things change with Saturn, the authoritarian figure entering Pisces. He'll also be co-president with Neptune, who tends to um, depending on your view, make things dreamy or nightmarish, but adds a level of fogginess or confusion to things, which I think might, actually shift some of the balance and soften some of
that seems useful. Yeah.
So, I think
it seems that dreamy quality, that chaotic, dreamy quality coming in March seems like it could be useful too if you know that it's coming, that's on its way.
Absolutely. Well, and I think we have this dreaminess, but with Saturn there's also some structure and backbone to it. So I think if you were going to use that magically or artistically, there'd be a way to think about creative world building. I think is a big one, or this. There's like a very psychedelic vibe. I think we'll probably see. We're already seeing the use of psychedelics in therapy. Come up again. MDMA trials in particular, and psilocybin. But I think it could take
that's
a pretty Lovecraftian turn. So.
And Lovecraftian shit. What do you mean?
I just think there's a horror element to some degree with Neptune, where there's this there's a certain monstrosity to it. There's in the confusion. There's I think with Saturn in particular, there's a sort of who are the biggest, oldest monsters at the bottom of the sea kind of thing, or at the edge of the universe.
Okay. I love this. Let's see what Jill. What transit would represent this year? Is that?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of that's going to be really dependent on your chart. I think, things that are transiting your first house or your sixth house, might represent that. And different signs represent different parts of the body. So I think there's a lot that could go into answering that question. But if you check your first house and sixth house,
okay.
And if there's any,
I can't like again. Thank you. I of course can't hear what you. Hang on. I'm gonna hide that comment.
So I think Philip had another question here.
Yeah.
So, I wish, I hope so. I do think the sort of strong patriarchal authoritarian vibe that we see with Saturn and domicile, both in Capricorn and Aquarius, there will be a lessening of that as it moves into Pisces, a Jupiter ruled sign. Still, a classically masculine planet, but I like to think of Jupiter as more of the good dad, the nice dad, rather than Saturn, the bad dad. I think just Saturn and Jupiter ruled sign is going to be a lot more about connection and sharing, and so in my mind that patriarchalness I hope will take a less authoritarian flavor. I think it's the unfortunately, with Pluto moving into Aquarius, all of these isms that are and phobias are being brought up. I think that's part of that. This realm of ideas where it's being intensified. there people are going to cling more tightly, as Michelle was saying. We have Uranus shaking these things up, and often when things are shaken, that's when people grip more tightly onto their beliefs and ideas. So um, I think we're going to see kind of some more ideological tribalism and these little factions and groups start to form, and I think in whatever people believe, they're going to be digging a little bit deeper into that.
So much for everything that you're saying, Jove. I can't hear any of it,
Oh
which is
no.
making this problem. Yeah, unfortunately. And so like I'm not really able to properly engage with you, and it really like sucks. And like I know that like I know how much you have to offer and how much you have to say. Let's
Saturn's a rough planet. Saturn's a rough
there
planet.
we go.
Yeah, and Saturn in a bad spot would be really tough.
Yeah.
I feel like uh, the lessons Saturn has to teach us are the hardest we'll ever face, but so worth it. Like once we figure it out, there's a lot of maturity and honest peace, I think, that can be found there. Saturn, um, authoritarian dad figure can be really tough, but also there's the sense of being held by something so much bigger than yourself, um, or a way to make some sense of the sort of underlying uh, laws or even patterns in the chaos of the universe.
Ooh, yeah. I see. I feel like I feel like you're saying all this like mind blowing stuff that I like is shorting out my ability to have this continuous circuit with you. I'm like, what? I was looking at some of your notes though. What is this Jupiter in Taurus natives that you talk about down here?
Yeah. So Jupiter enters
Yeah.
Taurus after being in Aries in May. Jupiter once again, planet of abundance and growth and knowledge seeking, is entering the beautiful Venus ruled sign of Taurus, who's all about material beauty and sensuality of aesthetics and whatnot. And I could see this being kind of an increase in consumer goods and the purchasing of those things, maybe a little overindulgence of that. Um, but also, I think Jupiter and Taurus is this beautiful giving placement of people who have so much to share and want to sweeten the world in the best way that they can. And just some examples are, Lizzo, um, beautiful Jupiter in Taurus native is all about the beauty of bigness, sharing that and giving that to the world, and her productions are big, um, and just juicy, right? Her song Juice, I think, is uh, so literal and its sort of Jupiterian vibes. We also have John Lennon, and some of the activism that he had there, JFK, FDR, MLK, Gandhi. We have all these
Interesting.
figures with a degree of altruism and trying to care for the world and change it in positive ways and sweeten things. Um, and so once again, I see this as that kind of good dad energy, and so I'm hoping that we feel a lot more of that starting in May.
Yeah, I hope so too. I kind of love this. Like, so what? Because I get that. I mean, like, okay, so I kind of love where this has gone to. Like, so we have like these authoritarian walls kind of going up, these culty walls going up, stubbornness, defensiveness, anger, kind of clashing, all these kinds of things going on. But then we have this passage where there starts to be like, we start to see like some mirrors of like good dad energy. So like, let's talk about what good dad energy is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think for everybody, it's a way. I think in the sign of um, Taurus, it can be um, more material in some ways. It's like, how do we materially care for people? How do we show up in ways? It's a Venus ruled sign, so it's about beautification and making things um, um, more beautiful. And for Venus, that's also like the way that we connect on the sensual level. And so Jupiter just being there, adding a lot of energy and sweetness there, I think gives us an opportunity um, to share. Jupiter is all about sharing. So the resources that we do have, which I think we'll have more of with that Jupiter energy, will be able to sort of feel the abundance of that in the giving to others. So.
Yes. Can you yeah, am I there? Okay. Yeah, I love this idea of the good dad energy having this like practicality to it. Like it's like beautiful and practical at the same time, which is also like Taurus.
Yeah.
Like Taurus likes things that are very beautiful but also very like practical. Like a Taurus like really appreciates like a really beautiful like stone walkway.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The creature comforts, the things that make life easier and more joyful.
And last and like long lasting and stabilized like that. Anyway, I was just thinking about like the stuff that you're saying about like good dad energy and like that being there's like reliability to it, there's
Yeah.
beauty and there's love to it. And it also just like that Taurus energy, I'm thinking about what's really beautiful to Taurus and it tends to be things that are very reliable, like
Yeah.
savings accounts and strong walkways and like like as much as like Taurus people like food, but also like architecture and just very practical, stable kinds of beauty are very much
Absolutely.
appreciated. But I'm a Taurus, so I'm just like we like really practical things.
Yeah. And I think
I just like this. So what do you? So do you think we see a little bit of a turn? Do you think we see a little bit of a turn towards this good dad energy?
I think so. I think so. And I think
Yeah.
with all these planets all at once, we get a bunch of different energies all the time. And so how they mix, I think, is really the question. And so I think in general, we're going to see uh, it's a potentiality. This energy, this good dad energy, is something on offer for us to take advantage of. Um, and so it's something that's magically and spiritually potentiated. And so I think those who are Jupiterian figures as well are more affected by this. Those can be people. Jupiter also can represent scholars, um, the wealthy, or people in positions of power. And so um, I'm maybe some of that Taurian pragmatism will end up in some of that being a little bit more shared. I do think as well, coming out of Jupiter and Aries, which I think can be kind of tough, a Mars ruled sign, very much focused on the self. Um, Jupiter is really charging up what I feel to be a pretty aggressive energy there. And so I think going from this fiery Aries, me focused sign to a Venus ruled, a much more chill, comfortable Taurus. That's more about sharing and enjoying and, with others. I think is going to be just a really, really refreshing change. So between um, between and what's happening in March, I think once we get to the spring, we're gonna have some ease, some ease.
Are we back? We
I think
have such a
so.
great audience. It's a shame that because everybody's here is so great. These are some of my favorite people, and I really like. I love to hear the things that you say. I'm gonna have to go back and be enlightened. So it's very much a shame, but I'm still very glad that you're here and that everybody's here and we're enjoying New Year's. I'm like the only one that's not at the party.
You're coming in clear now. So
Yeah, everybody's talking about this. Okay, good. Everybody's talking about this good dad energy, and like, I don't know. I definitely like that, and I definitely glad to hear it, 'cause I'm having that experience. Several tarot cards have really changed for me this year. Like, there's
yeah,
been definitely some evolution in, which is like not bad. It's just like a couple of them have been like surprising to me, and the Emperor is one of them where I'm like, oh, all right. There's been a little, and also in the King of Wands, there's a little, yeah, a little bit of change. The Queen of Wands or the King of Wands for me, he's a little bit more of his anger.
I'm having a hard time hearing you there. Um,
Thanks, Joe. All right, can you hear me? Okay. Okay, am I back? Yeah, thanks, Eileen. It is Joe's awesome. I might have told you about the astrology reading I got from Jove also. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm relieved to hear that there might be a breakup in some of the in some of and some of the really harsh like dad energy, the really just that really harsh like paternal type
mm,
energy. I hate even calling it like dad
okay.
energy in a way, but it is like that patriarchal
Yeah,
patriarchal energy.
yeah, yeah. And we've really been stuck in that pretty much for the past 6 years, give or take, with Saturn in his powered up signs of Capricorn and Aquarius. So um, it's really beautiful that on either sides of that we have Jupiter ruled signs. So we have Sagittarius right before, and then Pisces right after. So we get the sort of good dad energy on either side of the big sort of bad dad uh, marathon that we go through for a little bit there. So I think as well though there's ways to take that bad dad energy, and it's not all bad, right? There's a lot of lessons to be learned in terms of um, you know the power of moving slowly, or of devotion, um, or putting the time in with practice and repetition. Is a really powerful form of magic. And so just kind of bringing it back to that card, Michelle, that you drew for the year, the Queen of Pentacles. It just, for me, that's really feeling like a way to sort of reap some of those lessons. Thank you, Eileen.
Yeah. Yeah, the Queen of Pentacles. We all need it, y'all. We got to stay grounded. That's what we all need right now.
And
Let's see. You have like later in the year, you have Venus coming up in retrograde. It's just gonna like the whole year just is kind of like lots of potential, but it doesn't ever really get easy.
Yeah. I think that Venus retrograde, kind of talking about, we've got Jupiter in Taurus and the Venus ruled sign, and then Venus retrograde in Leo in from July to September. Um, Venus is the representative for women, femmes, and queer folk, and um, you know, um, I think the retrograde is a time, when she's moving backwards in the sky. There's some chaos and confusion to the energy that she's emitting, and I think those times historically have um, been tougher for the groups that she um, represents, and who often support her. So I think we could see, especially for prominent figures in the sign of Leo, which is ruled by the sun. We have this. Uh, um, very shiny, prominent person. That sort of person, I think, could be impacted by this Venus retrograde. I think it's also a time where Venus loving the beauty of material things, ruling that sign of Taurus. It's a time when it's easy to potentially overspend, um, and overly express some of that desire that we feel. Um, to be witnessed, whether it's through the purchase of material things or in the way that we relate to others. So,
All right, I'm ready for that. I can handle that. Let's see. They split this year. Split between Methodists who follow the wisdom and example of Jesus of Nazareth, and the heretics who prefer homophobia over Jesus. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so
great.
that's like a conflict with that culty vibe, and
Yeah,
also the I don't know, also the emperor, just being that like society based like control
right.
mechanism.
Yeah, I love that as an example of the fracturing and splitting of ideologies, that we're seeing. And in talking to one of my astrologer friends, she brought up a Marx quote to describe this year about um, people really sort of needing religion often as a crutch, and it represents um, a way of um, there can be unhealthy relationship with religion, and this year I think we're going to see that.
Mhm.
Religions aren't always just churches, but they I think it wouldn't be too hard to call QAnon a religion in a lot of ways, and so people clinging to these
I mean,
ideologies of
yeah, I mean, yeah, I
yeah,
mean, it kind of started as a religion.
yeah, yeah, and the way people hold on to it, the way they evangelize about it, and recruit about it, and um, just the abandonment of reason. I think in a lot of ways where um, I think a lot of folks, they don't really want to have a conversation about it. They believe in this absolute truth, and it's not up for discussion or debate.
Yeah, yeah, that dogmatic
Yeah, yeah,
insistence. Yeah, right, right.
yeah,
Hmm. I don't know why Jill needs to stay away from Amazon. I guess just like security shopping. Let me see. I'm looking at some of your other notes here too. This is fantastic. I really do encourage everybody. You can get in touch with me if you want to get in touch with Jove. I can make that happen for any of you. I really do recommend getting a reading. Your reading with me was like just intuitive. Like it just like you were looking at all the charts and all the stars and all your stuff, but then like you just like I don't know, you just followed all these intuitive threads, and I hadn't really had that in an astrology reading before, and like it really wound up being like what I needed. Like I was like, that brings it all together. Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's been really helpful for me. This was a couple of months ago, y'all, and like it's been really helpful to me. I've done a lot of I don't know. It's just been really that reading was really helpful to me. So
So,
Yeah, I encourage everybody. Oh, Julie already texted me. Yeah, because we had talked about this before. Excellent.
you can also go
uh,
to spooky.com, just last name.com, and
okay. So
reach out.
yeah, spooky spelled the way let me right. Let's see. Spooky.com. I'll try to put it in here. Yeah, and Lane, I can also vouch. I think um
Thank you, Lena.
yeah.
So, supported me over
Is
many
it
years.
right? Spooky.com.
Perfect, perfect.
Yeah, cool.
So,
Cool. We might. Does anybody want a tarot card? We might see if we can pull a tarot card because now we seem to
let's
be
do it.
coming in pretty good. Now that I missed all of you, I feel like all of you just went to mystery school except me. Does anybody want a card? I'm gonna pull a card for myself. Oh goody, Eileen wants a card. All right, I'm gonna pull a card for Eileen. So I'll pull a card and then Beverly, yay! Joe is incredible. Highly recommend. Look at all
Thank
these
you,
recommendations.
Bab.
All of Joe's bots are here. No, I'm just kidding. all
All the witches who've
his
got me this far. So,
all right, so this is for Eileen. This is for Eileen. Okay, one more. They didn't want to stop yet. Okay. All right. Uh-oh. Two of Swords, Eileen. So to me, this is like for you, this is like you got to go deep. You're going to have to choose between two things you don't prefer, probably. But you're going to have to pick one of them. And, you're going to, you know what? Pick the one that's going to give you the best odds. Just pick the one that's going to give you the best odds. That's my advice. What do you think, Joe? Anything you wanted to add? Heck, Eileen's like, that's not what I wanted to hear.
that's a tough one. That's a tough one. But yeah, I love the moon up there. Just sort of thinking about the um, uh, choice and the opportunity. Uh, and sometimes making the choice is more important than the choice itself.
Ooh, that's exactly right. And also, Eileen says she's in a conflict with a person who's close. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to. You can't. You're not gonna prefer either one of the choices that you have to make about it. But you're gonna have to make one, and you should really like make the choice that gives you like the opportunity to have the best outcome long term. So that's right. So that's if you can parse that out. Let's see. For my own natal. So Jill says, I'm excited to have done my own natal, but I'm so a beginner, so I would love Joe's interpretation. Yeah. Oh, you two will hit it off. You'll like each other
Oh,
a
I'd
lot.
love to. I'd love to.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna swallow it, lay boundaries, and go back. Yeah, Eileen, that's actually like that's what you're gonna need. That's what you're gonna need. Anybody else want a card? Good luck, Eileen, Lena says. That's sweet. All right, let me draw one for myself. Let's see what's going on for me. Oh my God. What one for myself? You'd think this wouldn't be hard to do, but it feels hard to do. All right, Lena, I'm going to draw one for you after I draw one for me. So, okay. The tower. I should have seen like this coming, but like in some ways, I don't know exactly what it's about. It's about a whole bunch of things. It's about a whole bunch of things. I don't know. What do you think, Jove?
I love the tower. It's,
Right?
it's I think I've told you this before, but it's tough, but it's always so. It's the bright medicine, you know. It's always the moment of I don't know. I feel like there's usually this breaking moment when um, it's traumatic. It's hard every time, but that break is always such a relief. It's getting me out of the situation that I'm stuck in, and it's a confrontation that I need to have with myself, or sort of where I sit with the other, I suppose. Um, but I think it's um, always come at times for me that are full of a lot of change that I don't necessarily want, but definitely need.
Oh yeah, okay, right. God, I'm gonna have to pull some more cards on that tower for myself. It's like it can be about so many things right now, and it's just I think it's a little bit about everything, a little bit. And so like, but I mean, I feel it in like a really positive way.
Yeah.
Like things feel really positive in my life for the most part. But I'm like, what does the tower want? Why? But
Yeah.
it's gonna be good. All right, Lena. Here's one for you. This one's for Lena. Breathing out. I'm so glad it decided to like I
Yeah.
don't know, be able to like talk clearly.
Yeah.
So
Mercury decided to cooperate.
it
So
decided to cooperate. That's so nice. All right. And then Jilly wants one. All right, Lena. Ooh, I got the 5 of Cups for you, Lena. Like it's definitely like that. I mean, my main advice is to like is when it comes to those like 3 spilled cups, you just like you got to make sure that you acknowledge that those 3 cups like are spilled because sometimes we get disappointment and grief about stuff that like we don't think we're supposed to for whatever reason or other people don't recognize, and so then we try to just like that's the way you give yourself complex grief is if you're just like, oh, well, I shouldn't be like grieving that. I should just like move on or whatever. You can grieve all kinds of things. You know, you can grieve objects, you can grieve things that never happened. You can grieve all kinds of things, right? And so like just recognizing that your pain is valid and then you'll turn around and find those 2 other cups that are back there when you feel like it. I don't like that whole everybody's got to like process their grief like this. You'll get there when you get there, you know.
yeah.
But you know, in taking up those 2 cups, that's just life. It doesn't, you know, that's it's not really like one of those things where you're like, well, thank God those other 3 cups spilled. Like grief isn't really like that either. But picking up those
Yeah.
2 cups, like that's just life. That's just kind of what we do. Anyway, thank you, Lena. I hope that was helpful. I see the cry faces. I'm like, oh goodness. Aw. Let's see. Okay. Did you want to say anything about that, Joe?
I love the art on that of how she has to face the spilled cups first and process that
Yep.
before the cups that are behind her. Also, um, those cups could have her back in a way. They're there, those full cups,
Mm.
but they're not accessible until the processing of the spilled cups can happen.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, I felt a lot of that in my body. That was good. All right, Jilly Beans. What do we got for you, Jilly? Exactly where I'm at. You're welcome, Lena. All right. Whew. Yeah, I got some lightheaded on that. That's all good. There's moving energy. There's moving energy. All right, this one is for Jill. What is up with Jill? Getting these Happy New Year cards out there. Oh, look at Jill. Jill is that Knight of Swords. Like not even fooling around. Oh my God, Jill, you got to get on that horse and just like go. Like you kind of have to put like your blinders on a little bit. Whatever it is, there's like some real specific goal. You probably have more than one, but just take one. Just take one. Whatever it is, it doesn't even have to be the one that you think is the most important. Take the goal that you think is the most interesting. Honestly, the goal that to you gives you the most energy to strive towards and just put your blinders on about it. You know, like just be like, this is what I'm doing right now, and just head towards that one singular goal and make it the most interesting goal that you have right now because that'll give you energy for everything else. But there's just this way in which you can't look to either side and you just can't stop. You just have to go. So yeah, you did just have that's true. You did just have a reading. Let's see. Lena says, literally this week been working on letting myself cry about some big stuff that's come up lately. Yeah. Oh yeah, Lena, that's real super important right now. And just to like recognize, like, actually that does really hurt. And that is a big deal because my feelings are big deals. It's the truth. We gotta do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Julie, we did just have a reading. Funny, it ties in with the reading from last week. Oh, you're welcome. Thanks, Jill. Thanks for reminding me. Because like right now, I don't have your reading in my head. Which sometimes I do remember a lot of people's readings. A lot of times, but we usually have to be like in session. But sometimes it'll come back from a couple years ago. even, and I'll be like, oh, that's right, I remember this. Sweet. Do you want a card,
I'd
Joe?
love one. I'd love one.
Let's get one for Joe in here. Oh, what a nice group tonight. Thank you. Yay, Philip. Yeah, we'll get you a card, Philip. So glad you're all here. So glad Joe could join us tonight. Talk about this like number 23 year. That's like a magical number, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the card that flipped over in my hand. So it's the 10 of cups, and then I want to like, there's where you're going to get two because I want to finish shuffling.
Yeah.
That one flipped over. So that's like your backup card for this one. Oh my God, it's the devil. So like whether you're getting into or out of a devil situation, you're going to be happy about it.
Oh, yeah. Right.
It's one or the other. You're either like getting hitched to like something that you just are like all about, or you're like, look, I gotta cut this illusion loose, one or the other or both. But you're gonna have the 10 of cups. You're gonna have some very simple happinesses from doing that. Like, you know what? It's going to be one of those things where like one day, like you'll smell some, like, well, I don't know where you are. If you're in New Orleans, like you smell jasmine in the air, right? And that jasmine, right, every once in a while, at a certain time of day, at a certain time of year, on a certain, time of block. So it's like, it's a whiff that like is strong and beautiful, but you don't get it constantly, right? But it'll be something like that happens. You get some smell and you'll just be like, oh my God, I've been under this pressure for like so long that I forgot how like awesome it was to like whatever the smell is, jasmine, more whatever it is, flowers, some rain, I don't know, whatever it is. It'll be something. It's like that. Like what you're changing is like that.
I feel that just kind of the simple pleasures kind of breaking the illusion of unhappiness to some degree. It's so easy to hold on to those illusions of or structures of things that we think aren't good, but sometimes stopping and smelling the jasmine is enough to break the spell and how good things are.
Or to recognize that you've been under a spell and to be like, wait, I've been so stressed and tense, like I forgot like how like beautiful and simple that a moment of awe can really be. All right. Oh, releasing the album today. I'll take a card. Cool. All right. Yeah. Let me fill up. Philip. I think prime numbers are always a little lucky. Yeah, probably. You're probably right about that, Lehman. All right, Philip Blair. This is a card for Philip Blair. All right. Oh, this one was okay. Yeah. Ooh, the 7 of Cups. So yeah, Philip, I mean, like what I'm going to take from this, honestly, what I'm going to take from this, you have a bunch of different things on your mind that are like interesting to you. And you really are just going to have to throw a dart at one of them and pick like your next, pick your next, like you gotta pick your next lane in a way just by kind of like, let's say there's actually 7 different cups and you need to pick one because that's going to be your next thing. Let's say 4 of them are about as good as each other. There's 3 of them that are less good. Get rid of the 3 less good ones and then just toss a coin for the other 4 are probably like about equally good opportunities or good weighted decisions. They're all probably about equal. So don't keep trying to look for the perfect thing when you've actually got 3 okay enough things. But I don't think you're going to be unexcited. I think you're going to have a nice time. But I think this is making you anxious. You're going to have to choose something. Any thoughts, Joe?
Oh, I think it's an interesting choice coming up again, and the importance of just making it. And I think also there's some sort of trust that there are good things on offer with the 7 of Cups.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Pragmagic releasing an album today. Oh, look what I turned over in my hand for you, Keats. Pragmagic. Belovers. Okay, that turned over. I think that's probably your primary card, but we're going to pull one more for you since that one flipped over. Yes, Beverly, we will get you a card also. Let's see. Releasing an album today. This is for Keats. Oh, here we go. Oh yeah, sweet. This is sweet. This is you get that three of wands, which I love a three of wands, and you got that with the lovers. So the three of wands, I do think that that's your like main card, but it's backed up by the lovers. So I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say that three of wands is Lord of established strength. So it's just like you've got, you know what your sound is at this point, and I know you do different things, but I think you know yourself in different genres and different, like the different things that you like to do. I think you know yourself in most of those places. So like you've got the three of wands energy out there, so that's that Lord of established strength. That's your album. And then I think too, like if you want to get real deep on it with the lovers card, there's a way that you can pull in some of that parts of yourself that in the past have been a little bit that have been a little bit rejected by you. That's
Mhm.
probably something that you can do here if you want to go really deep with it. That's honestly the way that I would see it.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. What do you think, Joe?
Oh, I love that. I love this idea of um, the being able to be in that passion, that that fiery passion, um, when you have that confidence of knowing what your vibe is. Even if it's an experiment, when you're feeling it, you're feeling it. And I think regardless of what the genre is, or what the experiment is, as a musician, if you are in that channeling exercise and you can feel that passion, feel the inspirited vibe, it's like that's magic. That's beautiful.
Totally. All right. Well, I'm excited to hear this, Keith.
Yeah.
And then, okay, Happy New Year, Michelle. It's Marguerite. Hi, Marguerite. And thanks, Joe. I mostly napped while you guys chatted today, which I needed after some hefty travel. Appreciate the insights I caught today. You're welcome, Marguerite. Good to hear from you. Happy New Year. That's awesome. Okay, Beverly, let's get a card for you. Let's get a card for you. Oh, I love everybody's cards. You're welcome, Keats. Keats, Pragmatic. Wait, Beverly. Yeah, that's right. All right, let's get a card for Beverly. Oh, this is great. It's such a nice group. I'm so glad we can hear each other to do some cards. Maybe I need to try to stream later. Maybe I stream on like the wrong. Maybe streaming on holidays is the wrong approach.
Hmm.
Cause see, like now it's fine. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Busy pipes. Busy pipes.
Yeah, busy pipes. That's what they say, I guess. All right. Okay, this is for Beverly. This is for Beverly. All right. Here we Oh, you got the three of wands also, Beverly. So like that's the Lord of established strength. That's the title of that card. And as you can see, like that figure has one hand of fire. And so like for those three wands to be in the ground like that, it just means that like things that you're passionate about, parts of yourself, creativity, things in business, whatever whatever it is that your area of knowledge is about, or wherever you put your creativity or whatever, that's it's solidly in the ground. So like even though fire is like wily and chaotic, and there's inspiration, there's passion, there's all that stuff, it can be stabilized. And there's a few cards in the wand suit that show that stabilization of fire, and this is one of them. But this is one that comes from experience. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like you can't really like learn how to use like your fire and be grounded with the things you're passionate about, whether that passion is like positive or negative. Like sometimes we can be passionate about like causes and things that really upset us, right? But after a time period, being confronted with that doesn't sweep you away in the current. Like you're like, yeah, I have a lot of feelings about this, but I'm grounded in it. I've taught myself how to be that. Or things that are like deep and creative and exciting for you in fire also, you can get grounded so you don't get like swept away by those things either. So you've got that going on too, Beverly. Whatever you're into right now, you have how do I want to put this? You've like you're gonna do fine with it because you've worked to get it the way that it is. you didn't just it's not an accident. The things that are working out are not an accident. That's what that means.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful. I have the privilege and pleasure of knowing Bev, and um, just I love that card because it even looks a little bit like Bev, and
Ah,
um, just I love this, confidently having your stake in the ground and looking out over the sea and the opportunity there. And once again, just like this fiery creative passion, this three, there's like a certain completion or wholeness to it of, you've put your stakes in the ground, you know where you stand, and from there, you're able to move forward with the vision, looking out with that creativity and imagining uh, what you're able to build and create.
heck yeah. Oh, I love it. I totally love it. Ah, should we draw cards for anything else, Joe?
Hmm. Let's see. Um, it'd be interesting to do one for the group.
Yeah, let's do one for the group. This is for everybody who's tuned in right now. Or whenever you tune in. Let's see that. Yeah, I love this. It's just now like we sound so good and we look so good. I'm like, we should do something. We should go out on the town now. All right, so this is for everyone. This is for our basic like New Year, our celebratory time this week. All right. I love it. It's the chariot. Look how cool she
That's
is.
great.
And I mean, and that is like we all like have to like we all do have to like put energy into
Yeah.
like it's weird. It's a weird thing, but it's like we have to like use our energy in some positive way right now while we just kind of wait for things that we don't have control over to show us how they're going to play out. And then when we see how they're going to play out, we have to make choices from there. So like for right now, like whatever y'all have been back burnering, pull that out and let that occupy your time instead of getting all hung up about the stuff that you can't make it happen faster and you can't control exactly how it's going to
Yeah.
come out. Like if you've been planning on learning like metallurgy or some shit, like do that until until these other things shake out.
I love that. I love that, and I just love the chariot is just showing up and participating too, and like the magic of this group and how engaged everyone is so beautiful. And I know this card's a good call to action for me to, continue showing up in community
Yep.
and participating with folks, and after being so outside of the real, in this Zoom world as well, or online world, just like showing up in materiality and quote unquote real life. That's a great call.
It is. I agree with that. Oh, Beverly. Oh, you're welcome. That's what you needed to hear. That's You're welcome. I'm glad you're in a good space. And you're all welcome. Yes, it's a new calendar day. And all right. Well, Jove, on that note, I guess we will close for this evening. The chariot. That's what's
Yeah.
on, everybody.
Thank you
Even
so
though,
much, Michelle. And
yeah,
thank you
you're
so
so
much,
welcome.
everyone. So it's great
And we
stuff with
will
you.
we'll do this again. We'll see if yeah, maybe the timing, maybe a different time of day will work better. So
Yeah.
but we will do this again. And it was really fun. All right, good night. Thanks everybody for being here.
And everyone,
All right. Bye.